country following a ban by the Betting Control and Licensing Board last week, where they banned advertising and commercials that feature gambling, saying this promotes an addiction as well as an unspecified disorder. Now, this of course has to do a lot of people that are affected are the youth. And I'll start with you, Kenneth Joe. You coach people on how to live their lives, and money has a huge part of that. Managing your life has to do with money, and I mean, you cannot extricate it from the whole picture. Now, when you hear that young Kenyans are increasingly tied to gambling, they're yoked to gambling, what do you think is the cause?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. First of all, I think we have focused so much on the problem after it took over.
It has happened,
yeah. We haven't focused on, what was the foundation, what brought this problem first. And as a country, that's why I believe we need to go back to our foundation,
Right.
And we have to be honest that the economic situation hasn't been good. That's
not
one.
Ideal, yeah.
And two, there haven't been proper financial counseling for the youth. We basically, for example, myself, we basically grow up learning about financial values from the society as a wider perspective, not from individuals telling us this is what we need to do.
Yes.
And therefore, that's why sometimes when you get an addiction that is connected to finance, it becomes a problem.
Right.
Because nobody ever sat you down when you were young and told you these are the values you need to focus on so as to manage your finances.
Right.
So we have focused on the problem after it has taken root. But now what do we do at this point? I think the biggest issue we have right now is that it's being solved at the government level. I wish it wasn't being solved at the government level, because we know where that's going to end.
Yeah.
We know that's not going to have any impacts, and we can bet on it, and one day we can be back in this studio.
Yes.
And I'll tell you that the impact that we'll have had from the government will be much less than expected.
Now, before we get into the solutions, I'd like to go to you, Ms. Patet. Do you think unemployment rates have to do with us not educating ourselves or our youth, like he said, on how to manage money and the values that surround our personal economics, or is it just affected by other external factors? What do you feel?
I think those are two separate issues.
Yes.
We do have a gambling problem. And whatever may be driving our youth to that is essentially them wanting to make more money now.
Right. Quick,
get rich.
And easy.
Yes, and get rich yesterday.
Yes.
So that is one way of looking at it. But on the other hand, if you look at it, a young person somewhere might be thinking that if I spend this 20 shillings, it will unlock the capital I may want to use for my side hustle. So there is that connection. But I wouldn't really want us to put unemployment as the cause for gambling.
Yes. But then how do you separate the issues of young people unemployed? Because if I'm unemployed and I'm on my last 500 shillings and I'm not seeing any hope in the future, and I think if I put this money, I feel like that financial constraint might actually stem from being unemployed. Don't you agree?
I don't. There's a risk.
Okay.
This is your last 500 shillings.
Yes.
And you're putting in there the hope that you'll actually
make
get
2,000 shillings.
2,000, 20,000, even a million out of that.
Right.
Supposing you don't, then what? Again, the other thing is, I think we need to look at gambling as a short-term result and solution to our problems.
Right.
And employment or lack of it is the bigger issue than us looking at just a short term. Let me make the money now and get rich now. What about tomorrow? Is it sustainable?
Yes. Now, you spoke about the matter of awareness. We were discussing earlier, and you told me that, well, gambling is nothing new. It might have gotten popular in Kenya a few years or a few months ago, but it's something that is the world over. It's renowned, people do it. But then particularly in Kenya, it seems that the youth are falling prey to this. Why is it that there's a difference between how it happens here and how it's happening in, let's say, the United States? What's your take on that, Joe?
My take, there are different comparisons to that.
Yeah.
And I don't like making direct comparisons because we are completely different economies.
Yes.
Yeah. But just so that we can borrow the positive things. One is there are safety nets in the Western countries.
Right.
The youths have a way in which they are covered from the impacts of gambling.
Please explain.
In Kenya, for example, if you're going to gamble your house today, you'll be allowed to gamble it. In the West, you may not be allowed to gamble your house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there are restrictions.
So there are certain assets that you cannot put your
structures that you cannot actually put into gambling.
Okay.
And nobody will allow you. Even the gambling institutions are not allowed to take certain things from certain individuals. That's one. Two, there are societies whereby the youth know very well that however much they will gamble their money, they will not fall short of the basic needs.
Yes.
How do we have that? We don't have that in Kenya. If I'm going to sleep hungry tonight, I am the only person who knows I'm going to sleep hungry tonight. But in a country where, in a social welfare, for example, the government will make sure that you have the basic needs. And sometimes that basic need, for example, rent, will be paid directly to the landlord. So the money will not be given to you. So these people at some point, they have a safety net that in Kenya we don't have.
So when you talk, I'll go to you, Ms. Patet. When we are banning commercials because we don't want them to trigger people to flock to these gambling facilities, is this the solution? Because, or perhaps can we think of broader solutions to people and young people being enlightened on how to use their money, how to gain employment, and how to work in the current economic situation?
If we ban the promotion and advertising,
yes,
it will still go on. Gambling, that doesn't stop gambling. Why? Because whoever has the betting houses or whatever places that young people go to bet, they will exist. We're not shutting them down.
Right.
And for them, that's their way of making money. So we're only shutting one